When my arthritis patients ask me what should they stop eating, they usually expect me to say bread, dairy, or sugar. But some of the most useful changes are actually simple food swaps. Let me show you 7 that I recommend, starting with 1, skeptical about myself. And stick around for the last one because it's a dessert. My patients are always surprised to see that on the list. Swap number 1. This one already went a little viral on Instagram, so let's start here. And it's not vegetables, it's about your coffee or what's in your coffee cup. Coffee itself, especially black coffee, is not bad for you, and there are antioxidants, flavonoids there. The problem is what you add to it. And what I mean by that is the creamer. So next time, instead of the flavored creamer, try this instead. Take your espresso and take a couple dates. See, these are medjool dates, and they don't actually have any seeds in them. But if you do have dates with seeds, that's okay. So take your hot espresso and drop in a couple dates. Let them soak for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then take your blender and grind it down. You get natural sweetness plus fiber, and that fiber buffers the sugar so it hits your blood sugar very differently than creamer does. I won't say it tastes like vanilla, more like a caramel latte. Just started doing this myself. So far, it's an easy win. And it's trending for a reason. A good question somebody asked me was blood sugar and diabetes. Yes, these dates actually can give you increase in your blood sugar. So just be careful. I would start with just 1 if you have diabetes and then go from there. There's a recent clinical trial out of Amsterdam called Plants for Joints, and it combined a plant-forward diet with exercise and stress management. Very excited about it because finally we have a food trial. Patients with RA saw a real measurable drop in disease activity after 4 months. It's not a cure, but there was a real effect when food was one piece of a bigger plan. And that's a philosophy behind the rest of these swaps. So swap number 2, pasta. We all eat pasta, right? Is there any way that we can make it even better? This is one of my favorite tricks because nobody notices it's there, including my children. I add lentils straight to the pasta sauce. Specifically, I'm adding red lentils. Why red lentils? Because they have no fibrous skin. So they cook really fast, just 15 to 20 minutes usually. And then they break down right into the sauce instead of holding their shape the way that green or brown lentils do. Because those guys would sit visibly. You'll see them in the pasta as little bits and pieces. And nutritionally, they're close enough that it doesn't matter. Just a half cup of cooked lentils adds about 9 grams of protein and 8 grams of fiber. So you're not taking all of your pasta sauce, just that little bit. So that way you can still, when you pour it back, have your chunky sauce, if that's what you like. And you're not giving up anything. You're just adding something that works for you. Swap number 3, salad. Everybody has a different way to make their salad. But a lot of times it's not really that filling. And you have things in there that are maybe not so nutritionally dense. For example, croutons. They're refined white bread. That's really what they are. And they're fried in oil, which is why they taste good. But there's basically no fiber or protein in them. They're just there for the crunch. Cannellini beans, though, if you add those, they give you the same heft, but with real protein and fiber attached. Half a cup of them provides about 7 grams of protein and 6 grams of fiber. And then you could build the rest of the salad around that. So here you have blackberries for antioxidants, walnuts for the plant omega-3s, kale. You really want to massage that kale. It makes a difference when you eat it. I know there may be naysayers about that out there. And there's some feta cheese here, which has a more fermented quality. And you top it with a simple lemon vinaigrette. This salad actually is more like a meal, not just a side. And if you really wanted to put a few croutons on there, you could. It does help with the different layering, but you don't need as much. Swap number 4, mashed potatoes. Who doesn't love mashed potatoes? I mean, I love them. And really, they themselves aren't a problem, but it's usually what gets loaded into them. Butter. And butter, we know, is more saturated fat. Nothing wrong with butter in itself, but it does have saturated fat. And according to the food pyramid, we're trying to use less than 10% on a daily basis because saturated fat is more broadly linked to inflammation in the research. Here, we're going to try it a little bit differently with cauliflower. And I think the reason that people don't like cauliflower is because it's sometimes a very mushy texture. You have to make it right to be tasty. And I teach culinary medicine. I will tell you that it is preferred to use more boiling or steaming of vegetables rather than high heat. But If it's not tasty, you're not going to eat it. So sometimes it's best if you can find a reasonable alternative, which I think is in this case. So when you chop up that cauliflower, you want to make sure that it's coated in cornstarch. Not a lot, just a little bit of cornstarch. And then you can pan fry it on high heat so that it doesn't become mushy. Now it's keeping its texture. And then you pour in the sauce towards the end. And that's it. You still get something warm, savory, and satisfying, but with a very different nutrition profile because it's a cruciferous vegetable, which has a lot of benefits for us. Remember, with rheumatoid arthritis, you are at a higher risk of heart disease and obesity, along with other issues. So, improving those factors also can be helpful. Swap number 5. This is a flatbread. And when you think of flatbreads, a lot of people are now trying to buy whole wheat, which is definitely better. Whole wheat is a real improvement, but spinach flatbread usually isn't. Most spinach wraps are well under 2% actual spinach. The rest is the same refined flour as a regular wrap, just tinted green. Green doesn't always mean healthy. And jowar, which is sorghum flour, and before you get intimidated by it, it's a one ingredient flatbread. You can buy this flour at your local ethnic grocery store. There's some other ones that carry it, but also Amazon carries it. And this is a sorghum flour. It's naturally gluten-free, tends to be higher in fiber than many refined wraps, and it has a lower glycemic index. And it also has plant compounds in it, which are shown to have anti-inflammatory activity in lab research. Early evidence, not a guarantee, but enough that I keep it in my kitchen. So if you do try to make it, it's a very easy recipe. You just have the flour and you have water that has a little bit of salt sprinkled into it. You add it a couple tablespoons at a time and you knead the dough. And you want it kind of like this Play-Doh texture. Kind of like squeeze it and you can see it's like Play-Doh. And then it makes it easier to roll out and flip and it's soft. So it's a great alternative if you want to try it. The next one is swap number 6. Skip the creamy processed dips, ranch, French onion, the tub stuff, and instead reach for a bean-based dip. In this case, it's white beans that are blended into something that's genuinely creamy with real protein and fiber attached and a much shorter ingredient list. Look at the back of one of those little plastic containers next time. And in this one, I used garlic infused oil. One bonus tip, if you love garlic, but it doesn't love you back, the problem is usually fructans, a carbohydrate some people's guts can't break down, leading to bloating, which nobody wants. Fructans are water soluble, not oil soluble, so garlic infused oil gives you that flavor without the fructans. If you make it at home, keep it refrigerated and use it within a few days. Because homemade garlic oil carries the small risk of botulism if it's at room temperature. So store-bought is easier in this case and maybe a little bit safer. I had made a huge batch of it and I had given it to a couple of my friends. So when I went back to see one of my friends, I noticed that it was on her counter. And I was like, oh my God, are you still using the same garlic oil 6 months later? And I had mentioned the botulism risk, so I told her to use it right away. And she's like, no, I just love your handwriting on the bottle because I had made it a little bit fancy. And she's like, I keep it there, but I just pour other oils in it. So I was very happy that she listened to me. And remember, I said that this is a white bean dip. So it's a resistant starch. There's soluble fiber for cholesterol in it, other nutrients like iron, magnesium, folate. It has a low glycemic index, so it fits the blood sugar and stability theme, and general antioxidant activity, just like other legumes. And it's delicious. Now, if you think dessert is off limits in this list, wait until you see the last swap. Because swap number 7 is cheesecakes. These are little mini cheesecakes. Greek yogurt mango cheesecakes have the Greek yogurt part, which brings in protein, the mango, which brings in real sweetness. So I have blended it into the Greek yogurt for the different layers, but also on top, I piped out the mango, did not add any sugar to it, didn't use a juicer because I want all of that fiber and nutrients in it. And it really tastes very good. Okay, so we just went over 7 swaps. And as I said, none of these swaps replace your medication. But food is one of the few tools you get to use every single day, multiple times a day, and that adds up in ways that surprise us. If you try even one of these recipes, I'd love to know which one. I'm Dr. Neha at Plant Forward MD. I'll see you next time.